Hello and welcome to the Scum and Villainy Report. So today we're going to continue our deep dive series. The topic? Argentina. A nation that once stood amongst the richest in the world, but now faces one of its most dramatic experiments in modern history. After decades of spiraling inflation, debt defaults, and political instability, the people voted for change. Enter Javier Milei, an anarcho-capitalist armed with a chainsaw and a plan to slash the state into pieces. But 1 year into his presidency, has Milei's radical vision saved Argentina, or is the country spiraling further into crisis? In December 2023, Javier Milei took office with a mandate to destroy the status quo. His campaign was a cry against decades of corruption, cronyism, and economic mismanagement. With inflation at 211%, over 42% of Argentinians living in poverty, and a debt-to-GDP ratio of 90%, Milei promised to cut the state down to size, fast. Milei wasted no time. Within weeks, he slashed the government spending by 30%, reduced ministries from 18 to 8, devalued the peso by 50%, ended subsidies on energy and transport, causing prices to quadruple. This austerity hit hard. The economy shrank from 3.5% in 2023, and unemployment rose from 5.7 to 7.7, as 30,000 government workers lost their jobs. But Milei's gamble shows signs of working. Monthly inflation, which hit 25% in December of 2023, dropped to 4% by July 2024. The annual rate, while still a painful 209%, is finally trending downward. Argentina's inflation is still the highest in the world, surpassing even Syria and South Sudan. But for the first time in years, there's hope that the spiral might be stopping. Milei's reforms are reshaping Argentina's financial health. The country achieved its first primary fiscal surplus in over a decade. The trade deficit of $5.2 billion in 2023 flipped to a $12.3 billion surplus by mid-2024. Exports increased by 14.8%. Imports decreased by 25.9% due to reduced consumption and deregulation. Argentinian bonds have doubled in value, and the risk index fell from 2,500 basis points to below 900. Investors are cautiously optimistic. Milei's deregulation agenda is starting to bear fruit. Rent control was removed. It tripled the supply of rental apartments in Buenos Aires, cutting rents by 50%. Import licensing was also abolished. Appliance prices fell by 35%, and clothing imports dropped by 20%. His open skies policy also increased airline competition, reducing flight costs. But these reforms come at a steep price. Over 53% of Argentinians now live in poverty, up from 42% a year ago. Wages haven't kept pace with inflation. Public services like healthcare and education face budget cuts of 20%. A century ago, Argentina was one of the world's richest nations. In 1913, its GDP per capita was higher than France and Italy. But political instability, military coups, and decades of Peronist populism left the economy in tatters. The country has defaulted on its debt 9 times and required over 20 IMF bailouts. Milei's experiment is unprecedented. Countries like Greece tried austerity, but faced massive public backlash. Yet in Argentina, desperation has led to a willingness to endure pain for a chance at recovery. Argentina's story is still being written. Will Milei's chainsaw carve a path to prosperity, or leave the country in ruins? The world watches as this high-stakes gamble unfolds. Did Argentina make the right choice with Milei's radical reforms? What can your country learn from Argentina's story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more in-depth global analysis.